Today we'll discuss the difference between buying a resale home and new construction. Hi, Matt Farnham here with our next episode of Real Life at Level 10, where I discuss insights on real estate, leadership, and personal growth. So the last couple weeks we talked about buying your next property, but you have a home to sell. So now we're going to talk about that next property. Is it a resale home? Is it new construction? What are the primary things that you need to know when you're comparing those two options? So the first thing, of course, is price. Now most people expect that a new home is going to cost more. Typically, at least in our market here in Clark County, Southern Nevada, you're going to expect a 10 to 20% premium for new construction. Now, quite frankly, a lot of that is justified, but for each consumer, for each buyer, it's going to be to each their own. Many can justify the difference and some can't. You just have to get all the cards on the table and decide for yourself if you see that value difference or not. Keep in mind, some of those things include energy efficiency. The new homes have the newest floor plans that everybody's excited about. They have the newest styles and trends and things of that nature. But at the end of the day, it's new. It's just brand new, and you're going to pay a premium for new. One thing that I have seen to be true over the years of doing this is very oftentimes that base price on the builder. So for example, you might see a new construction home at $300,000. But by the time you get all the bells and whistles and upgrades and the countertops you want and things of that nature, you're going to end up being $340,000, $350,000, $360,000 by the time you move into that home. What you'll find pretty consistently in a normal market is the builder's base price, that $300,000 in that example, will be about the same as the resale home that's already has the upgrades in it, has the landscape completed, the window coverings are in, and it's a beautiful home ready to move into. So essentially, brand new, probably a dirt lot, no window coverings, not really the upgrades, versus resale with all those things done. That's a tough decision. Some would obviously choose this so you can make it your own and are willing to pay the difference. And some are going to go over here and say, nope, that doesn't make sense. I'd much rather have everything already in the home and not pay additional money for that. So the next thing to talk about would be incentives and negotiation. Yes, new home construction will very often have incentives, oftentimes tied to their preferred lender, which we'll talk about. But they'll pay for closing costs for you. They'll give you money towards a design center, things like this. Some really cool incentives. But some folks think that you can't necessarily negotiate on the price. That's not true. In new construction, you definitely can negotiate on the price as well, if not for additional incentives, additional option money, and so forth. Side note, that's why you need a guide, a professional realtor helping you through this, because we know these things and we do it every day. On resale properties, the opposite's true. A lot of people, obviously I can negotiate the asking price that the seller has, but they might not realize that you can also get concessions. You can get lender incentives, all types of ways that you can leverage some of that cash out of pocket when you're negotiating that transaction. So timing is another factor that's major difference between the two. Typically with new construction, you're going to be a 5-month, maybe even 6, 7, 12-month build time with some of these builders, where resale, obviously you can close in 30 days, 45 days. It's a much more, quicker outcome on resale. Now, sometimes that's a great thing though for new construction, because depending on where your stage of life is right now, maybe you're relocating from another market, maybe you're timing this around school getting out for the summer, whatever your situation may be, that 5 to 12 month wait period could be very advantageous for you. However, it could also be the very opposite, where it's very hard to plan your life around that and you need to look at resale properties because you can make that happen much quicker. However, new homes, keep in mind, there are standing inventory properties where maybe they have fallen out of escrow, or possibly the builder did some spec building, so they have a couple in production that might only be 30 days out or 90 days out. So it's not always a dirt lot that has to be 5 to 12 months out. Another thing to keep in mind is financing improvements versus paying cash. A lot of folks love the new homes because it has all the new trends. I'm sitting in a gorgeous home right now with quartz countertops on the waterfall edge and some of these, beautiful, very trendy finishes and improvements you'll see in properties, which of course are typically going to be available at all these new home opportunities. But for a resale home, if you want to buy that home and do these things yourself, it can require a lot of cash out of pocket. A lot of folks aren't typically financing those types of things. So that's a big difference, being able to put it into your new mortgage in new construction versus maybe some more cash out of pocket in resale. The closing costs can vary on properties too. Closing costs on new construction can actually be higher. For a $300,000 home, which is the average and median price here in Las Vegas, give or take, it's going to be $2,000 to $3,000 more out of pocket cash to close. There's a few key costs. There's real property transfer tax, which is $5.10 per thousand. Owner's title policy, typically paid for by a seller in a resale transaction here in Southern Nevada, and all the HOA transfer fees and capital contribution fees. Those are very negotiable with the seller, typically in a traditional resale transaction, but the builder will usually push all those things, or at least half of those things, onto the buyer in new construction, which equates to $2,000 or $3,000 more out of pocket when you close. Now, yes, there could be incentives to offset some of that, which is fantastic, but not always the case. Another quick thing is monthly fees. A lot of these new construction homes are in master plan communities where that SID or LID assessment, maybe the balances are higher, the payments could be higher. However, some builders will pay them down or pay them off as an incentive. Resale properties could also have those as well, but oftentimes they've either been paid down, or some owners thought they were going to live there for 10 or 15 or 20 years and paid it off after they purchased the home. So that's another factor to consider. The repair and appraisal process is obviously much different. On a new construction home, they're going to go through all their city permits and inspections, and ultimately, towards closing, you'll do a final walkthrough, where if you have a professional realtor with you, we'll be the bad guy. Keep that builder accountable to making sure that the home is buttoned up exactly how it should be. I tell my clients, look, you're buying a new home, it should be brand new, right? But resale, you're going to have a much more involved due diligence period with repair negotiation. The appraisals can be a little bit more of an elephant in the room on a resale transaction with a little bit more uncertainty. It's one person's opinion on one given day, so those can vary. And then new construction, very rarely would there be an appraisal concern unless you're just going crazy with your upgrades at the design center. Those are typically not as concerning. So a bit different there. And there's so many more things we could unpack. If you have a home to sell, negotiating contingencies on resale versus new construction, and so forth. So all the more reason to make sure that you're working with a realtor who's walking you through this and understands this process, that knows you can negotiate with a builder and don't just have to take it as they say it every time. So make sure you get that guidance. I hope you found some value in this information and better understand how to compare a resale home to new construction. Next week, we're going to get into why do you need a realtor to walk you through the new construction process and why it's so critical that somebody's looking out for your best interest. So thanks for tuning in here to Real Life at Level 10. Again, I'm Matt Farnham, sharing insights on real estate, leadership, and personal growth. And whatever it is you do, whatever it is you're walking through, remember, just do it out of Level 10 and live with the results. This week's episode was filmed at our listing at 848 La Catrine in Henderson, Nevada. For more information on this home, you can click the links provided or contact our office for your private showing.